It's 9 p.m. Monday night. While the rest of the world slows down, you're tuning in to the Final Boss podcast. This is Motivation Mondays, where mindsets shift, hustle gets honored, and the 6 pillars of success get broken all the way down. We're talking motivation, resilience, sacrifice, consistency, persistence, and perseverance. Hosted by the one and only Turbo, the CEO, bringing real talk, raw stories, and relentless energy to spark your week with purpose. So lock in, take notes, and remember, success ain't just a dream, it's a discipline.
Welcome to Monday night's edition of the Final Boss podcast. It is Motivation Monday. Woohoo! Welcome, everyone. The beautiful Andrea's in the building. Who else is here? It's Motivation Monday. Listen, woohoo, baby. I got a show for you tonight. Oh, yeah. Evil laugh. Oh my God, I got a great show for you tonight. Let me go ahead and change a few things real quick because that, my friends, is not supposed to be that color. Interesting. I hope everyone's having an amazing Monday. It was a holiday, so it was a holiday. You know, I hope everyone got some necessary rest, recharged, right? And are ready to take on the rest of the week, right? The rest of the week. So we are going to go ahead and get right into tonight's show without fail, right? Without fail. So if you haven't, of course, I need to sell books. I need to sell books. Go time, all aboard the Fired Up train. Go pick it up. Everywhere books are sold. Everywhere books are sold. We are here. Hey, Chicani. Everywhere books are sold. Go time, all aboard the Fired Up train. This is your motivation workbook. It is your motivation textbook. And the classes are coming soon. So if you have Go Time, the classes are coming soon, right? And guess what else? There's more Go Time books on the way. More Go Time books on the way, right? So if you haven't picked up the first Go Time, because you're going to need it before you get the others. It's a series. So you need to go pick up Go Time, all aboard the Fired Up train. The first edition, right? And I'm going to be doing I'm going to be running some specials very soon as we enter the rebirth, right? As we enter the rebirth and the spring rebirth, we might be doing something very special and unheard of for all of the 350,000 plus people that are now engaging and are part of the Final Boss podcast, Final Boss community, and Final Boss family. Man, what a show I have for you tonight. Let me go ahead and get rid of these banners because they can go bye. See ya. Go away. Yes. So this is episode number 192. 192, people. And man, we are 8 episodes away from closing out season 3, The Reckoning. 8 episodes away, right? And man, I feel good. I feel really, really good about the possibilities and things that are on the way for season 4, which starts at episode number 201. Now, you know, of course, I'm going to take a break. I have some personal matters and some different things that I need to take care of, which, it coincides and is absolutely in alignment and parallel to everything. And I find that so fascinating, truly fascinating, right? And man, we are here We are here rife in abundance, right? Rife in abundance, man. Now, look, if you haven't had a chance to go check out our website, go check out our website at www.thefinalbosspodcast.com. That's www.thefinalbosspodcast.com. You want to shoot us an email at info at thefinalbosspodcast.com. We're going to start the vetting process for individuals who would like to host and be a part of the hosting community on the Final Boss Podcast, right? We are building a community, right? So if you would like to be a host and you don't have the following, you don't have the marketing, you don't have the equipment, listen, you can be part of the Final Boss Podcast hosting committee. Hosting committee. Yes, absolutely. We're starting the vetting process very soon. And actually, we're going to do an introduction on that tomorrow, like a teaser tomorrow on what's to come. And we're going high tech, people. We are going high tech and evolutionary types of applications, AI systems, equipment, you name it. We are going high tech. So you have the website, you have the email, right? And please like, share, and subscribe on no matter where you see us at, whether it's on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Kick, Instagram, and on Spotify, right? We're all on those platforms live 5 times a week at 9 p.m. So now we got that out the way. Woo-hoo, man. Let's get on board the fired up train, right? Because this is episode number 192. And tonight's episode is Victory has defeated you. Victory has defeated you. Yes, that's what tonight's topic is. And to each and every last single one of you, man, let me tell you, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. And you know what I'm saying, man? It is awesome, and what a great feeling to be a part of Motivation Mondays and being here with you guys, man, sharing this energy. We are going live, and we are live, right? To my Final Boss community. This is the Final Boss Podcast, right? This is the Final Boss Podcast, right? And tonight, I'm about to expose the most dangerous threat to your empire, right? And it's not your competition. It's not the market. It's not external at all. It's your last victory, right? It's your last victory. That championship belt you just won, right? That contract you just closed, that promotion you just earned, those things didn't just elevate you, they made you vulnerable, right? And if you don't understand what I'm about to break down tonight, your greatest achievement will become the weapon that destroys everything you built, right? Everything you built. And here's the truth nobody wants to hear. The most dangerous moment in any campaign is immediately after a successful mission, right? Not before, not during, after, right? So, welcome. This is episode number 192. Victory has defeated you. And look, if you're just now joining us live, welcome, right? Welcome. This is season 3, The Reckoning, as we close out, man. 8 episodes to go, right? 8 episodes to go. And as you know, for those who are just now joining us, it is Motivation Monday. Motivation Monday. Why is Instagram stuck? Oh, well. Motivation Monday, which means we're going tactical, right? No theory, no philosophy, pure execution protocols. You can implement the moment You can implement them the moment this episode ends. And for those tuning in across all platforms, right? YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, right? Drop a comment right now and let me know where you're watching from. I want to see my Final Boss community, right? I want to see you guys in the community worldwide, right? Now, let's get ready to get into the conversation, right? And look, for all of those who are here, my Final Boss family, my warriors, my motivators, my final bosses, and my smarts, right? You already know we're building in real time, right? Your questions you ask can be answered right now. Your challenges you have can be answered right now. Your victories that you would like to showcase and display, show them right now, right? Bring them into the conversation, right? Now, let's get to work. Let's get to work, right? Because before we jump into the battlefield, let me see, or you know what? Not let me see. Let's say, let me set the strategic context for tonight's episode, right? Because 2 weeks ago, I hope you guys remember, 2 weeks ago, I was in a discussion on the desire paradox, right? And we explored the psychological foundation, how wanting something pushes it away, and how achieving it makes you vulnerable. That was tier one, right? That was tier one of who you be, right? Your character, your psychology, right? But tonight, this is tier three, how you dominate. This is tactical execution. This is immediate combat protocol for when you're standing on top of the mountain with a target on your back, right? This part is a part one of a series of four, right? This is part one of a four-part sequence, right? And it's going to go across multiple platforms, right? So tonight is part one, episode 192. This is your tactical protocol for tier three. Part two is going to be episode 196, which we'll we're going to on sitting down with the final boss on Sunday. That's going to be part two, right? That's going to be your personal combat, right? We're going to be jumping back and forth. That's going to tier one, right? And then sometime in March, we're going to talk about we're going to have this discussion on merger, right? But we're going to be talking about it in the frameworks of neuroscience breakdowns, right? And having some technical research to back it up. And then it's all going into the next integral framework of the Go Time series, right? Same concept, escalating depth, different entry points for different audiences, right? And for my smarts, the critical thinkers, demanding the intellectual rigor, I'm giving you the psychological mechanics and the logic behind each tactic. And for my final bosses that are in the building, right? Who are building empires. This is survival intelligence for the summit. This is how you protect what you've built while scaling to the next level. And for my motivators who are leading teams and coaching others, this is how you keep your people hungry after the big win, right? This is how you prevent complacency from destroying your organization, right? And for my warriors, this is my warriors who've been in actual combat, right? And I'm not talking about just military style combat. I'm talking about combat battling the world and social ills, right? I'm talking about all of those things, right? You already know this truth in your bones. You've seen what happens when soldiers relax after securing the objective. And tonight, I'm making that warrior wisdom accessible to everyone building something that matters, right? Now, here's the thing that nobody is going to tell you about winning. How many winners in the building? Look, if you're a winner, raise your hand. Raise your hand if you're a winner, right? Raise your hand. Listen, if you're a winner, drop it in the chat. I'm a winner. I've been winning my whole life. My whole life I've been winning with no choice in the winning, right? It's in my blood. It's in my my genetic makeup, being the firstborn. I'm a winner, right? Listen, don't you go nowhere. No bathroom break, no hallway passes for you. You stay right there, right? Because this is what nobody's going to tell you about winning. The most dangerous moment in any campaign is immediately after a successful mission, right? If you didn't know that, now you do. Not when you're grinding, not when you're training, not when you're struggling, not when you're in the fight, right? But after, when you've won, when the objective is secured, when everyone is celebrating, that's when the counterattack comes. I learned this truth in federal service. I learned it in combat deployments. I learned it at the Pentagon, right? And I'm learning it again every single day in business. If you just closed a seven-figure deal, right? You just launched a product, or you just won a championship if you're an athlete. Or if you just got a promotion at work. And in that moment of triumph, you are at your most vulnerable, right? You want to know why? Of course you do. Of course. Yes. Oh, I'm going to tell you why, right? Because victory does three things simultaneously, right? And all three are lethal if you don't have a protocol to counter them, right? The first thing victory does, it kills the hunger. It kills the hunger, right? The second thing, it erodes discipline, right? It erodes discipline, right? And the third thing, right? It creates an identity crisis. Man, I'm on fire tonight, right? And if you don't understand how these three forces work together to destroy everything you've built, your empire will fall from the inside while you're still celebrating on the outside, right? Now, look, I'm going to break it down for you. You know, I'm the Finder Boss, and I'm going to break it down for you. Listen. Finder Bosses, motivators, warriors, smarts, listen, right? Here it is. These three forces, right? These three forces. I'm going to break them down to you so you can recognize them in real time, right? And here it is. Force number one, right? Victory kills hunger. That animal that drove you to the top, that wolf that's in your inner being, right? That's screaming. Oh, well, that's not a wolf. Well, that animal in your inner being, right? Guess what? It goes to sleep after the win. You stop waking up at 4 a.m. with fire in your chest. You stop seeing opportunities in every conversation. You stop thinking about the mission 24/7. You start thinking, I made it. Now I can relax, right? I can relax now. You sit back and cross your arms and you kick your feet up and you said, I did it. I won the championship. I did it. And you think it's time to relax. But let me tell you, that's the lie. That's the trap. Because while you're relaxing, your competition is still hunting, right? They're still building. They're still executing, right? And they're still studying your victory so they can take what you just won, right? Now, force number 2, victory erodes your discipline, right? This is when the systems that got you there, the daily non-negotiables, the constant training, the brutal consistency, the relentless execution, right? They start to feel optional after the win, right? You're saying to yourself, I won. I earned a break. It's time to rest. And you tell yourself these things, right? And maybe you did take a break. Maybe you did rest, right? But that break becomes a gap. That gap becomes a pattern. That pattern becomes your new standard. And your new standard is lower than the standard that got you to the top. This is how champions become has-beens, not because they lost their skill, but because they lost their discipline after they won. And if you don't believe me, look at people who had the motivation and were motivated by certain disciplines to lose weight. But after they reached their target goal, they stopped, right? They stopped maintaining. And guess what happened? They gained all the way back. They gained it back plus more, right? You see it. You see it all the time. It happens. Listen, you want to understand discipline you understand motivation and discipline? Look, go get Go Time. All aboard the Fired Up train. Shameless book plug, right? Well, all books are sold, right? This is what happens, right? And then the third force, right? Victory creates identity crisis. This is the most subtle and most dangerous one, right? You will spend months, maybe years, defining yourself by the relentless pursuit. You say to yourself, I'm the person in the building, right? I'm the person who's chasing whatever you're chasing. Your identity was wrapped up all in the journey, right? Now you have what you were chasing. So who are you? Right? Who are you? Your identity was wrapped up in the journey, right? Your identity was wrapped up in becoming who you were trying to become. But now that you're at that point, who are you? Right? Listen, that vacuum, because it's a vacuum, that vacuum creates paralysis. You don't know what mountain to climb next because you're too busy celebrating the one you just conquered, right? You don't know what to build next because you're too busy enjoying what you just built. And that, my friends, that is paralysis. That's where empires go to die, right? And if you want to survive your own success, you need a protocol, not a mindset, not a motivation, a protocol, right? It's science, man. It's science, baby. Let me tell you. Here's the 3-part system I use, and here's what I'm demanding you, yes, you, implement starting the moment this episode ends, right? Here's number 1, tactic number 1, the 24-hour celebration rule, right? You get 24 hours. That's it. That's all. One rotation of the earth to celebrate, to feel it, to acknowledge what you accomplished. 24 hours, right? You take your team out. You guys go out and pop some bottles, right? You post the victories on social. You call up your peeps. You call up the fam, right? You enjoy the moment, right? That dopamine feels amazing, right? Let yourself experience the win. But at the 25th hour, it's time to get back to ground zero. You're back at ground zero, and we're not talking about metaphorically, right? We're talking literally, right? You reset your scoreboard. That win goes in the archive and it goes in the history books. Now it's time to hunt all over again, right? And you're probably asking, well, Final Boss, only 24 hours? Why 24 hours specifically, right? Because dopamine has a half-life. That victory high you're feeling, it starts degrading immediately. That neurochemical reward system in your brain begins returning to baseline within hours. If you let the celebration extend beyond one day, you're not celebrating anymore. You're training your brain to expect celebration instead of execution, right? You're building a psychological dependence on external validation instead of internal drive. You're teaching yourself that the destination matters more than the journey. And that's a lie, my friends. That right there will, in fact, destroy you, right? And here's the harsh truth about it. The empire builders celebrate for a day. The one-hit wonders celebrate for a month. And by the time the one-hit wonders finish celebrating, the empire builders have already secured the next three objectives. 24 hours is the time you get. Set a timer if you have to. When it goes off, you're back in execution mode. It's time to hunt. Right? Now, protocol number 2. This is tactic 2. Immediately, this is your immediate next thing, right? And you have to do this before the celebration ends, right? When the celebration ends, ideally within those first 24 hours, you identify the next mountain. Not eventually, not I'll get there or I'll figure it out. Right then and there, you figure out the next mountain. You don't get to rest at base camp thinking you've conquered Everest when there's K2. And oh boy, K2 is beautiful. K2 is beautiful, man. Oh man. Whew, that's a beautiful place. Listen. K2, Denali, Kilimanjaro, and Annapurna. Those are weight, right? Those are weight. Those are your next mountains. The mission never ends. It only evolves. And here's the critical part that separates champions from pretenders. The next mountain must be harder than the last one, right? Not the same level of difficulty, not slightly more challenging, significantly harder. Because if it's not, you're not growing. You're plateauing. And plateaus are where empires go to die, right? And this is how you compound that excellence. You close $1 million deal, right? The next target is a $10 million deal, right? You launch one product successfully. The next one needs to serve 10 times the market, right? You build one business, the next one needs to solve harder problems, right? This isn't about greed. This isn't about never being satisfied. This is about growth, people. Because here's what most people miss, right? Your capacity doesn't stay static after a victory. You just proved you can operate at a certain level. That level is now your floor, not your ceiling. If you stay at that level, you're not maintaining, you're declining, because maintaining the same level actually requires less effort than reaching it, right? And less effort means you're building the habits of mediocrity, right? So you identify the next mountain immediately, you commit to it publicly, you start planning the ascent before the celebration ends. This is how you stay dangerous, constantly ascending, right? constantly ascending. And the third protocol, right? Third protocol, right? This is your victory as a checkpoint, not destination. This is the mindset shift that separates champions from one hit wonders. This is the psychological framework that prevents complacency from destroying everything you've built, right? Every victory is a checkpoint. It's a save point if you're a gamer, right? It's a confirmation that you're on the right path. It's the validation that your strategy is working, but it's not the finish line because there is no such thing as a finish line. No such thing, right? The moment you treat a victory as a destination, you stop moving. And in the game of empire building, standing still is moving backward because everyone else is still advancing. Your competition isn't celebrating your win, they're studying it. You're learning from your they're learning from your execution, right? They're identifying the gaps in your strategy. They're already building the counter strategy, right? And while you're popping champagne, right? They're sharpening knives. And while you're taking victory laps, they're taking territory. And while you're resting on your laurels, they're building their own. This is the reality of competition at the highest levels, right? Nobody is giving you the time to enjoy the win. The market doesn't pause because you achieve something. The game continues whether you're ready or not, right? So reframe every victory as a checkpoint. I reached this level. Perfect. That means I'm capable of reaching the next level, right? You don't diminish the achievement. You don't pretend it doesn't exist or doesn't matter. All you do is acknowledge it, achieve it, and you immediately start asking the questions. What does this victory make possible that wasn't possible before? And the question keeps you moving forward, right? The question keeps you building. That question keeps you dangerous, right? Now, let me bring this home for you, right? Let me bring this home, right? Because in this is a bit of truth that every combat veteran knows, right? This is something that we know. And this is something I learned, right? Those two wartime deployments, right? They taught a lot. They taught me a lot, right? In warfare, the most casualties happen after the objective is secured. Not during the assault, not during the firefight, after, right? Soldiers relax. They drop their guard. They think the danger is over. They celebrate securing the position. And that's when the counterattack happens. That's when the ambush hits. That's when people become unalive. That's when the most mistakes are also made, right? Listen, when I was at the Pentagon as a fiber optic technician, right? We thought we were safe. We thought the first tower that was hit was an isolated incident. We were all wrong. We were all wrong, right? And I saw this overseas as well. I saw this in missions where securing objectives and soldiers started thinking about home instead of staying tactical. And accidents happen, right? Casualties happen, right? Think about that, right? In the federal service, right? I saw projects, lots of projects, multi-million dollar projects, right? Projects that succeeded and teams that celebrated too long, right? Only to get blindsided by the next challenge that they didn't see coming because they weren't scanning for those threats, right? And let me tell you, I'm seeing it now, right? I'm seeing it right now. I'm scanning, I'm analyzing. During my MBA, right? I'm analyzing businesses right now. Companies that have one successful product launch and think they've made it. Entrepreneurs who close one big deal and start coasting. Leaders who achieve one milestone and forget there are 100 more mountains to climb. Because victory doesn't end the war, it just changes the battlefield. And if you don't understand that, you don't internalize the truth at a cellular level. You will become a casualty of your own success. Right? Now, man, delicious. Now, let me give you some real world scenarios and examples, right? So you can see the pattern at play, right? You can see the patterns right now at play, right? Let's take a look at Blockbuster, right? I love writing about Blockbuster. I've been writing about Blockbuster my entire collegiate career, right? There are plenty of case studies out there about Blockbuster, right? In the 90s, Blockbuster won the video rental war, right? Total domination. There were more blockbusters than there were liquor stores, right? Blockbuster on every corner. It was everywhere, right? Thousands of stores. It was a household name, right? And they celebrated that victory so long that they missed out on Netflix completely. They treated their market position as a destination instead of a checkpoint. And you want to know what happened? The company died, right? The company died. This next company, right? Another one of my favorites that I've been writing about my entire collegiate career is Kodak, right? Got plenty of case studies and papers on Kodak, right? How Kodak invented the digital camera, right? They won the photography market for decades. They were a monopoly, right? And they got so comfortable with their film business success that they refused to cannibalize it with digital. They treated past victories as protection against future disruption, and they got bankrupt, right? Now, this next company, same thing. Plenty of case studies in my collegiate career. Listen, all types of papers, right? On Nokia, right? I remember Nokia and the flip phone. Man, everybody had a Nokia phone back in the day, right? It dominated the mobile phones. It was an absolute market leader and celebrated that leadership so thoroughly that they missed the smartphone revolution that was happening right underneath their noses. They thought their past success guaranteed future relevance, and they got wiped out by competitors who were still hungry. This pattern repeats across every industry, every market, every domain, right? The victories that made these companies giants were the same victories that made them vulnerable. And you can apply this to your personal life. You can apply this to your personal relationships, right? Complacency will end up having those relationships bankrupt, right? Because there's one thing I know, talking about those companies and all those other situations as well. If you stop executing the disciplines that got you there, if you stop staying hungry, right? If you stop identifying the next mountain, if you treat your victories as a destination instead of a checkpoint, you will fail. You will fail, right? Now, let me flip it and show you the opposite pattern, right? Let me show you the opposite pattern, right? Let's talk about some success, right? Look at Amazon, right? They won online retail. They dominated it. Instead of celebrating, Jeff Bezos immediately identified the next mountain, right? Which was cloud computing. AWS is now bigger than their retail business, right? Look at Apple. They won the MP3 player war with iPod, right? complete market domination. And instead of resting, Steve Jobs immediately started building the iPhone, which cannibalized the iPod, right? He killed his own winning product to chase a harder mountain. This is the pattern of sustained excellence. Victory has a checkpoint, right? Victory has a checkpoint. And the immediate next mountain needs to be identified, right? And you never stop hunting, right? Now, to my final bosses, to my motivators, to my warriors, to my smart community, listen, it's time for the brass tacks of the evening, right? I waited to give you the brass tacks, right? Because I wanted to hit harder now than if I had mentioned it earlier, right? And here it is, man. This is the single sentence you need to lock in into your operating system and never forget, right? Never forget. And here's the brass tacks of the evening. The empire you build will be destroyed by the victory you celebrate. Unless you treat every win as ammunition for the next battle, not as permission to rest, right? And I'm going to read that again, right? I'm going to read it again because I want you to write it down. I want you to tattoo it to your consciousness. Listen, the empire you build will be destroyed by the victory you celebrate, unless you treat every win as ammunition for the next battle, not as permission to rest, right? Your victories are not endpoints. They're waypoints. They're fuel. They're proof of concept that you can operate at high levels. But the moment you treat them as permission to coast, that's the moment you start losing what you built. The empire you build will be destroyed by the victory you celebrate. That's not pessimism. That's not negativity. That's reality at the highest levels of competition, right? And if you want to survive at those levels, if you want to build something that lasts beyond one win, beyond one product, beyond one generation, right? You need to internalize the truth right now, right? Right now. And here it is. Your last victory is your next vulnerability. Protect it by moving beyond it. That's the brass tacks, right? That's the brass tacks. Now, I want to hear from my final boss community, right? Right now, drop in the comments, right? Drop in the comments right now because I want to see something from my smarts. I want to see something from my final boss. I want to see something from my motivators. I want to see from my warriors, right? And for those who are just now joining us and you don't know what I'm talking about, look, hashtag smarts. Go check it out, right? My smarts, right? They understand what the victory, right? And they are understanding that what victory are you currently celebrating that might be making you vulnerable? What discipline have you let slip since your last win, right? And to my hashtag final bosses, right? What's the next mountain you're identifying? What's harder than what you just accomplished, right? And for my motivators, hashtag motivators, how are you keeping your team hungry after recent success? What protocols are you implementing to prevent complacency, right? And for my warriors, hashtag warriors, right? What combat lessons have you learned about post-victory vulnerabilities, right? What stories can you share with the community, right? Look, I'm looking in the chat right now, right? I'm looking in the chat right now. I'm seeing some incredible insights, right? Y'all can't see them. I can see them, right? I told you we're on 10 different platforms, right? 10 different platforms. Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Kick, Instagram, right? and Spotify. And a couple of those, we have more than just one show on multiple, that same platform, right? Like for instance, we're on Facebook on two different accounts on Facebook. We're on 2 different accounts on YouTube, right? I'm just giving you guys that information, right? So keep the comments coming. And for anyone listening to this after the live broadcast, whether you're on Spotify or YouTube or whatever, the conversation doesn't end when the episode ends, right? I need you to head to the comments, head to social media, and tag the Final Boss Podcast, the Final Boss _podcast, right? Let me know how you're implementing the victory protocol, right? And here's the truth. Here's the truth. You don't build an empire alone. You build it with a community of people who understand what it takes. And my Final Boss community understands what it takes, right? People who refuse to let victory make them soft, right? You guys are people who treat every win as a checkpoint, not a destination, right? That's what this community is. That's what you guys, right? You are, right? By being here right now, right? Now, before we wrap tonight, let me tell you about what's coming up, right? Let me tell you about what's coming up because, like I said, this is a 4-part sequence, right? Tonight's part 1. Sunday is part 2. And March is part 3. And then you can catch part 4 in the next series of Go Time, right? So, episode 196, which will be Sunday for sitting down, you don't want to miss, right? Because episode number 192, I gave you the tactical protocols, the victory protocol, the immediate execution framework you need to survive your own success, right? And then on Sunday, episode number 196 of Victory Has Defeated You Part 2, we're going to be talking about the battles I lost after the win, right? That's going to be personal. It's going to be raw, right? It's going to be tier 1. We're going to be talking about character and identity, right? I'm pulling back the curtain on my own defeats by victory. The times I won big and got knocked down because I didn't follow any of my own protocols. I didn't have protocols back then, right? I didn't even know this stuff, right? I would relish in a win for months. Listen, I remember putting on my own music tour for my artists and some artists that was relevant back then and who associated with my label. Man, we did a mid-Atlantic tour up and down the East Coast, right? I put on my own tour and thought that was an amazing thing for it to come to fruition and play out the way it did, man, from city to city, hotels, parties, you name it. Man, well, great time. But we celebrated too long for that. Right? But look, we'll be pulling back the curtain. I'm going to be pulling back the curtain. You don't want to miss that, right? I'm going to be talking about the time success made me vulnerable and I paid the price for dropping my guard, right? I'm going to be talking about the Pentagon. Every episode, I'm going to be talking about the Pentagon. It's part of my identity, right? I'm going to be talking about my deployments. It's part of my identity. I'm going to be talking about my federal service. It's a part of my identity, right? It's a part of the business model, right? These business ventures, personal relationships, I'm going to lay it all out because you need to see the scars to understand why the protocols matter. You need to hear the failures to understand why the discipline matters. You need to know that even someone who teaches this stuff has fallen victim to the victory trap, right? And episode number 196 is the experiential wisdom, right? The battle-tested truth, the lessons written in blood and failure. And then in March, we're going to break it down in Merger, right? Merger Wednesdays. That episode breaks down the neuroscience. What's actually happening in your brain when victory makes you vulnerable. We're talking about doctor-level research with layman term explanations in my layman's block, right? all building towards the next couple of Go Time series, right? And we're going to synthesize everything into the complete framework. This is the multi-part sequence, right? And you don't want to miss any of it. Now, let me leave you with this one piece of wisdom, right? Let me leave you with this one piece of wisdom on episode 192. Everything I've shared tonight about the victory protocol, the 3 tactics, the warrior truths, all of it comes down to one fundamental principle. And the principle is excellence is not an achievement. I say again, excellence is not an achievement. I'm going to say it one more time for those in the back. Actually, I'm going to say it again too. Excellence is not an achievement. And I'm going to say it again for those in the back. Again, right? Those who are in the back, beyond yonder, back, right? Listen, excellence is not an achievement. It is a process. Excellence is not achieved. It's a process. It's a process. It's a process, right? You don't achieve excellence and then maintain it through minimal effort. You achieve it at a level of excellence and then you have to commit to the process all over again to reach the next level. This is what separates empires from one-hit wonders. Empires understand that the process never ends. The grind never stops. The hunger never gets fully satisfied. It just gets redirected toward bigger targets, right? One-hit wonders think they can achieve excellence once and then coast on the achievement forever. They think the destination matters more than the journey. They think that past victories guarantee future relevance. They're wrong. They're all wrong. And the market punishes you and will make you suffer brutally, right? That's a brutal mistake. So when you win, and you will win, right? And if you're executing at a high level, you're executing at a high level because this community demands it. Remember this. Your victory is evidence that the process works. It's not evidence that you can abandon the process. Your victory is confirmation that you're capable of more. It's not confirmation that you've reached your limits, right? Your victory is ammunition for the next battle. It's not permission to stop fighting, right? It's a 24-hour celebration. Identify the next mountain. Victory as a checkpoint, not a destination. That's the protocol. That's the discipline. That's how you build something that lasts. And when you're tempted to celebrate longer, to rest longer, to coast on past achievements, remember the warriors who failed after the objective was secured. Remember the companies that dominated markets and then disappeared. Remember that your competition is still hunting while you're celebrating. Stay dangerous, my friends. Stay hungry and stay tactical, right? Now, as we approach the end, Final Boss community, we just completed episode number 192, right? Victory has defeated you, right? You now have the victory protocol, right? 24 hours to celebrate. You start to reset it at 25th hour. You identify the next mountain immediately, the next objective immediately, right? The next opponent immediately, right? And make sure that it's harder than the one you just conquered, right? And remember victory as a checkpoint, never as a destination, right? Implement these tactics starting tonight. Don't wait for the next victory. If you won something last week, last month, last year, and you're still coasting and celebrating on it, you're already vulnerable. You've already lost, right? Your competition is already ahead of you. Reset now. Identify your next objective. Identify your next mountain, right? Get back into execution mode. Get back to hunting, right? Get back to having that fire within you burn, right? Listen, this Sunday, episode 196, we're going to be bringing it to you on a personal level, right? We're going to be talking about the victories that defeated me, right? Don't miss that, right? And until then, remember your brass tacks and remember the fired up train, right? The empire you build will be destroyed by the victory you celebrate, unless you treat every win as ammunition for the next battle, right? Not as permission to rest. I am the Final Boss. This is the Final Boss podcast. You are the Final Boss community. We are here. I am is here, right? We're all here. And if this message resonates within you, let that marinate in your spine. And don't gatekeep, right? Don't gatekeep. Share it with 3 other individuals. And like, share, and subscribe, right? Like, share, subscribe, right? This has been the Final Boss Podcast, Season 3, The Reckoning, episode number 192, right? Remember, part 2 of this will be out on Sunday with Sitting Down Sunday with the Final Boss, right? Then part 3, we're going to be discussing a merger sometime in March. And then the 4th part you would catch in the one of the Go Time series, right? Books. And if you haven't, go pick up Go Time, all aboard the Fired Up train, where all books are sold. This is your motivation workbook. This is your motivation workbook and textbook. Class is coming soon. Class is coming soon. People are like, man, why did you write the book like that? It looks like a textbook. It's meant to be a textbook. It is meant to be a textbook, right? That's what it's meant to be, right? Go get Go Time. The one with my picture on the back, right? The one with the train on the front, right? Where all books are sold, right? And remember, there's a heavy pain that comes with discipline, but the pain of regret is even heavier. I don't think some of y'all grasp that concept, man. I don't think a lot of you grasp that concept, man. That's a profound concept. I'm going to read that to you again, right? Listen. There's a heavy pain, right? That comes with discipline. But the pain of regret is even heavier, right? Whew. Look, to each and every last one of you, thank you for joining us, man. What a time. We're approaching the end of the show. Thank you so much, man. To all of you, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. And always be balanced, be equal, be smart. That's our show for tonight. Let's enjoy the Fired Up train. The Fired Up train, man. All aboard the Fired Up train. The train is moving. Are you on it? Are you on your way to the destination of the you that you were meant to be? Are you on the train filled with joy? Filled with higher level skill sets? And the destination is excellence. The destination is excellence. Remember who you're meant to be, and the destination is excellence. That's our show. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a great night, and I will see you tomorrow Right? We got so the sensei will be out tomorrow, but I have another special guest that's going to be filling in for him tomorrow for tomorrow's Tech Tuesday. We have another guest that's going to fill in for the sensei tomorrow for Tech Tuesday. Oh man, amazing, amazing, amazing. I got a new product that we're going to be debuting. Well, we're going to give you a little teaser because it's going to be implemented in season 4, right? Oh man, so many things are coming with season 4. I'm so excited. Y'all have a good night. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 9 p.m. live for Tech Tuesdays. Good night.
3 seasons in, and we're just getting started. You've heard the whispers. You've felt the shift. Now it's time to face the boss. Welcome to Season 3 of the Final Boss podcast, where every episode is a power move, every guest is a game changer, and every Tuesday, a tech takeover, and every Monday is motivational with special guest Thursdays, and sitting down with the Final Boss Sundays, hosted by Turbo the CEO, the architect of insight, the voice of the underground, and your guide through the glitch. Plug in, lock on. This is the Final Boss podcast. Season 3 starts now.